You already been recording?
No, we are now, though.
Alright, well, these little winger dingers are gonna have to...
Why did they start us with crappy guns? Oh, I got a shotgun. Never mind, I take it back.
How do you have a shotgun?
Because the game likes me more than you.
Oh, apparently, because I just dropped dead.
Oh. Ah! Whoa, hello. The gun pointed at the head of the universe. You know, are these chapter names... Do they have any correlation with the book? I don't remember. Okay, the subtitles was a mistake.
Not entirely.
Well, hey, they're on your part of the screen.
It doesn't bother me. I'm actually reading them, so...
Well, yes, the question is, if you were fighting, which would you be doing? You can tell me what the plot is later.
I don't think I will.
Well, I read the book, I'm fine.
How was the book, by the way?
They're perfectly adequate. They're nothing special.
That was a very milquetoast
Yeah,
response.
they're nothing at all special. But if you like the lore, that's basically the only reason to read them, because the actual prose of them is not impressive.
Real geek when I knew him, and it was like.
Oh, I find the story. I mean, the world of Halo is one I kind of find interesting. It's not unlike stuff like Ender's Game or similar Alien War sci-fi shows, which is a trope.
I get a bit more of like the Stargate vibes.
I've never watched Stargate, so I have no clue how apt that is. Oh. Whoops. Okay, well that's a plot device. That is not a gameplay device. Look at me, do-si-do. I would have thought this central control panel was the thing to touch, but it ain't.
Can I just get on this rail without actually jumping off and committing suicide?
Well, I mean, you can. The question is, actually, no. I suppose I'll channel a 5th grade grammar teacher and say, well, you probably can, but will you?
Oh, nope. Apparently not.
I'll save you with the power of cutscenes. I don't know if this is the only other thing to interact with, so I don't know if this will actually help us.
That is the effective range of this installation. According to the star charts archived on board this installation, I estimate that there are 3,792 worlds capable of sustaining biological sentient life within that 25,000 light-year range.
Can you imagine that?
In reality,
That would be remarkable.
An interplanetary superweapon? No, I actually kind of can't.
Well, I'm just saying.
Well, because they really don't actually explain at all how giant rings are weapons.
Well, I imagine that they would pass energy of some kind through it, but
Yeah, but that wouldn't be in a circle then. And as far as we understand, it doesn't actually function. Well, I mean, as far as we understand, they've never actually been used in any of the books. We don't actually know how they would work, but they don't appear to be just giant explosives that destroy everything in their path. It seems like they somehow managed to kill living things without destroying planets. Because, I mean, obviously, the argument is that the Forerunners used them once, which wiped them all out. But, like, all the planets are still around, as far as we understand. Because, like, he's saying there's still planets within the vicinity of this ring. And presumably the rings have been used at least once before. So it's not just a giant explosive. It has to be some other kind of... But I mean, under what circumstances would a giant ring be the most efficient means of spreading some kind of a... I don't even know what it would be. Have to be some
biological.
Kind of radiation poisoning is about the only thing I can guess. Maybe it's a giant superconductor... Not superconductor. That's what are those called? What is the CERN?
CERN?
In Switzerland, what is that called? It's escaped me now.
I don't...
It's not a superconductor, but it's a... Oh, that didn't save you. What are they called? Particle accelerator.
Yes.
Maybe that's what it is. I suppose that's about the only explanation you can think of for why... I mean, that's making a lot of assumptions. Because we're assuming... This is me or you?
That's you, friend.
No, it isn't. That's you.
No, I'm saying the disconnect was you.
Oh, that's annoying. We are assuming that the means of killing is radiation because that's the most advanced way we could have done it.
And what also makes the most sense as far as...
Well, not necessarily. They're aliens. They might have had some kind of crazy super death ray.
Well, that's what I was saying. Biological of some kind, but...
I mean, radiation still seems like the most explainable from a physics standpoint, and it would make some sense with the fact that it is a giant ring. Essentially, you could create a giant particle accelerator this size and use it for some kind of radiation experimenting. Oh, so we were supposed to leave the room we just came in. I guess technically we did teleport in here, so never mind. You're going off getting started without me.
Yes, I am.
I'm going to have to turn this down yet again because I am paranoid.
Well, at least you admit that's the reason.
I'll murder anyone who says otherwise.
I smacked him in the face.
You
just
said
for
you were
good
topic aligned, so align yourself.
Yes. So I watched a thing that I wanted to unpack with you. That you've already obviously watched, and I had some thoughts about what it correlated to, but I was curious what your thoughts were on the Lighthouse.
It's a weird movie.
It is a very weird movie.
And, I'd hasten to acknowledge that I wouldn't recommend it blankly because I was not aware of its contents. Yeah, I mean, it's presented. It's one of those things where it's obviously presented as
a part
some
of like
kind
a
of a hallucination thing, but that
yeah.
doesn't make it any less graphic. And I was like, okay, this was not forewarned to me when I first looked into it.
I think that it's a very...
I'll
So the reason I ended up picking it up, and I know that we had a conversation about it, which was part of why I was curious about it, but at the same time, the reason I ended up actually watching it is because
did we have a conversation about it?
I think that we did, but there was enough people that had talked about the fact that it was very Lovecraftian in its vibes, and I was like,
that's a little generous.
I don't think it is, because see, here's the thing. For me, it felt very, like. Did you not feel like it had similar, again, tonally, not
Hang on a
obviously
second.
direct-
We're not going to have to go and destroy those things again, are we?
Tonally, it had similar vibes to the Dagon, I would say.
I have not actually read that yet, but Lovecraft tended to be slightly more subtle than that.
Well...
Not that he was necessarily super subtle.
I don't know that subtlety was not present in it.
I can't help but think we may be...
biting off more than we can chew?
I think we might be going back a bit. Not that we have any other chance or choice, but I feel like we've done part of this before.
Choice.
See, when a shotgun takes an alien creature twice of the size of you with an energy shield and just rips him in half, it really does make you think it's humanity's greatest invention.
It makes you think that, and then you get there, and it's brown and prickly.
I mean, there's a reason the Germans wanted it declared a war crime.
What, shotguns?
Well, not shotguns explicitly or exclusively,
trench
but
guns.
Well, yeah, but that was just a shotgun. It wasn't anything fancy. It was just the best shotgun of its day, which means any shotgun of the modern day would
Probably
be equivalent.
Yeah, that's true.
Gruesome. I mean, I suppose it was a unique blend of shotgun plus trench, because trenches sort of amplify the effectiveness of a shotgun massively. Ah!
Well, in that they bottleneck the...
Yeah, in that it basically means everyone in the trench is within range of getting shot. So you don't even really hardly have to aim. But
oh, I done headshotted that son.
This might be different. It might just be a similar layout of level, but the enemies are behaving differently. Or at least that's what I'm telling myself. Anyways, it was still not... Here's what I'll say. It's a film... I'm co-opting this phrase because it's a useful one. It's a film that I can respect more than I liked it. Because a lot of effort was put into convincingly portraying a very, very old school filming style in that it was filmed in black and white with a old-timey aspect ratio where it's like almost perfectly square. And as someone who's watched a lot of films from like the 30s and 20s, it convincingly evokes that era.
Yeah,
and I even
that wasn't-
appreciate
for
its...
me. I thought it leaves you the entire time trying to get your bearings, which I find a little bit annoying. Typically, I like when it has some degree of cohesion. That it's like, okay, now I can follow.
Okay, no, I think this is the last level, and we just never got to the end, which is a shame because we spent boatloads of time wasting not knowing where we were going last time.
Okay.
So that's like
Okay,
the last
I'm
two
gonna try to
episodes.
steal this, and I can't.
The last 2 episodes are going to be undone by this, but hopefully we'll know more of what we're doing now. Because I'm fairly confident we've already done this, but this was the most recent save, so... Apparently we have to finish missions before we can quit the game, otherwise we're scrubs.
And you know, scrubs are guys who can't get no love from me.
Here's a weird thing. Why is it that just about every... I'm going to be revealing something oddly strange about
Are
me.
you a secret misogynist?
The question, whether or not, I mean, those who watch might say, how secret could it be at this point?
Wow!
Here's all I'll say, is that there is something strange about scrubs that just look good.
Okay.
I'm just saying, it's weird that every...
I think you're just saying something a little bit strange.
I said it was strange. All I'm saying is it's a weird kind of garment that is intended to be practical, but still has a degree of like, that also...
Swimming and strangle a guy. That makes absolutely as much sense to me.
Well, so this is clearly we're establishing you don't agree.
I don't find that they're particularly flattering. I
don't know that flattering's the right word. It's not like, you know, it's not the same thing as wearing a cocktail dress. I'm just saying there's something about it. I'm like, oh.
What? They are helpful?
I mean, because it can't...
This is revealing something about your psyche, I think.
I don't know about that, but I'm just saying it can't be the case that every nurse I've ever met is just independently attractive.
Yeah, I mean...
That doesn't seem statistically likely. So the argument, therefore, has to be it's something about the outfit
or
that
the
accentuates...
role that excites
no, but see,
your
I don't...
psyche, which
no,
is,
because
again,
see, I don't think I...
It's a caregiver role. You
No,
like
because I don't think that that's the case. I don't get that...
Do you want me to talk about your mom?
I mean, obviously, who can evaluate themselves perfectly unbiased?
That's
But
true.
I do feel like I have enough self-awareness that I'd have been able to decipher that if that was the case. Because there's definitely jerk nurses in the world. In fact, that's one of the 2 tropes. Is basically there's the sort of doting.
Shut up, nurse.
Yeah, it's essentially there's either like the doting, flirtatious World War II era nurse, or the angry old lady nurse.
I think I just...
So clearly, it's not the like, oh yes, I'm just attracted to.
You know what's funny is those
healthcare
nurses are
professionals.
actually the one and the same person. It's just age and time. The cruel march of time.
There is in fact only one nurse personality.
There is in fact only one who has gotten so desensitized by the world around her over the years.
Start out sweet and caring, and then you just get bitter.
Take your freaking meds.
It's like life.
Yeah, what?
It's like being a parent. I'm just so you never have thought that scrubs have a positive effect on a figure.
I think no. I'm trying to
All
give
right.
you some sort of
I'll just be over here hanging out to dry.
No, I think I am more inclined to say that the people who tend to become nurses.
See, I don't think it's personality
I
based
don't
because there's times where it's not like I'm not a frequenter of hospital rooms. I'm not.
Aren't you though to try to meet nurses, hot nurses that can?
See, no, that's the thing. Well, that's the thing. It's not that I have been in hospitals a bunch and I've like. It's not a matter of interacting with them. It's literally just on site. It's like that is for some reason a complimentary piece of clothing.
Well, I think it begs the question: what kind of guy are you?
Let's see. What would I don't think the
I think
scrubs
we've
make a
asked this
difference.
question. They do kind of.
I'm gonna cop out and actually say that faces are the big thing.
Well, that may actually be a decent argument if you're arguing that scrubs are something that would make somebody attractive, because what it does is it eliminates any sort of... I'm going to bail you out here. I'm
thank
throwing you a intellectual...
But see, you're the only one who thinks I need bailing.
I feel as though if your argument is that maybe you are a face and less
I'll tell you, here's what's actually an oddly specific one is voice matters a lot to me.
Oh, that's very true for me. I literally just made this comment to my wife recently because I was listening to one of her colleagues, because she was on a business call, and I was like, can you turn this woman off, because it's late at night and I want her to stop. Because it was I have a real big... It's a pet peeve of mine when girls use that whole Valley Girl talk.
Yeah, but
like,
that's...
and everything's got to be... And I'm like, no, just make it stop.
But that isn't...
I understand that it's a voice
Here's
that
the thing.
put on.
There's a pet peeve... There's the pet peeve aspect where people who are just have annoying voices. But I'm saying there's a reverse for that for me, where there's the opposite of pet peeve. Where I'm like, there are voices that I actually find...
On a fetish level.
But see, does that qualify?
No,
I can't help but feel like that's too...
niche.
Well, no, if anything, fetishes are exclusively niche. I feel like it's the opposite. It's too broad. Because it's not like... I don't know that I could identify the kind of voice.
Oh,
if it was a fetish, it would have to be like, I'm interested in chicks who sound like they're on helium.
No, I'm not. Okay, I'm not being.
Because if it can't be communicated succinctly, then I don't think it's exactly a fetish.
See, I tend
just
to
a
like
preference.
huskier voices.
Well, yes, as we know by your bad taste in music.
Wow. Okay. I'm saying in ladies' voices, I don't like the kind of bird, like the whole Snow White concept drives me nuts.
Well, that's a bit of an unfair character.
Well, sure. I mean, it's a caricature.
Mine, get out!
It's a caricature.
You got me killed. You blew me hat off.
It's a caricature, sure, of what I am meaning, but I'm still...
Because the reason I take such offense to that, I don't think you're going to work. You have missiles. Not anymore. You're the missile. I take somewhat exception to that, if only because I imagine you might levy that description on the kind of voices that I do find attractive.
Are you trying to defend Halsey?
She doesn't have a songbirdy type voice.
No, I agree.
But I do, like, for example, and admittedly I've never heard her speak, so maybe she sounds completely different. But the chick from Arcadian Wild has a very lovely voice. Yeah. And I don't just mean in a singing voice, it's just like, because obviously she's a competent singer, but I mean something in the tonal quality that I'm like, that, I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why. That was some blatantly defied physics at the end there. But anyways, was this the topic you wanted to discuss, or have I derailed?
No, I mean, I enjoy slight bird walking. That's totally fine.
But not bird voices, apparently.
No. Well,
because the thing about Snow White is nobody actually talks like that.
The thing about Snow White is she looks terrible in Scrubs.
I don't agree.
I'm just joking.
Get the fan artists in here now. We need to settle this.
No.
I am 100% certain.
Stop.
Well, the problem is I don't think it would have to be that, but that's probably the only way I'll find
it would devolve.
Well, because
I'm in Scrubs. I'm sure you are.
The only reason that such a thing would exist is because somebody wanted it. So it may not even be inherently erotic, but it'll be on that site, I'm sure. Because it's the only place that you can go for such requests.
I want, like, a picture of a guy with, like, a big knife.
Now, here's the question, is why is the French maid outfit such a thing?
I don't get that.
And also, did French maids ever wear that?
And were French maids ever, like, was that an actual trope? Like,
well, the French in general, I mean, maybe that's all it is.
Yeah, but, like, why, like...
You could attach any profession after the word French, and it would be the same.
No.
You're wearing a French lawyer's outfit.
Okay.
I guess it would have to be a gender exclusive.
Well, yeah, I was about to say, you're wearing a French mechanic's outfit. Hi.
Okay. Overalls is the other one.
That one I may give you, but there's a whole different reason for it.
Like you're having to go, okay, I could make fun of him for this, but I'll have to be honest. So you're into tomboys, clearly.
No. I'm just gonna say it.
Lady doth protest too much. Apparently, that was awfully defensive.
No. No, it's not that. I certainly don't find that scrubs are particularly. I think what it does, and if I could,
We're talking about overalls, not scrubs.
I'm leaving you your what is it called?
Come
Your
back in the morning
line
for
of-
jerky. That's all that'll be left of me for all this hanging out and drying I'm
No,
doing.
I'm giving you at least a little bit of hydration, and that is
Thank you. I'm now a succulent.
that is that scrubs eliminate any sort of like clothes tend to hide actual just raw hey what's underneath and that no I'm
Hey,
not in
what's
a weird-
underneath?
not in a weird way but like
Well, okay, you've
can
just
be-
literally explained the entire purpose of clothes is to
No.
not be naked.
no okay,
Clothes hide what's underneath,
no,
don't you know?
my point is
Did they?
normally like
Or
an
at least
actual-
they used to.
somebody who actually has high fashion or something can hide a great degree of unfortunateness maybe with you know what I mean
I'm not
you're
sure. I
laughing
think you're
'cause you know
digging
what I mean.
yourself a hole.
No, I'm not. I'm saying you can put on. It's the same thing as people that can make their face up really well versus people who have natural beauty. And I feel like scrubs lends itself to people who are actually attractive.
But that doesn't
versus-
make much sense then, because that you're basically just saying that no, it's just you just happen to have only ever met or seen from a
hot
distance.
nurses.
Yeah, and I find that statistically unlikely.
Well, maybe. So scrubs. No. What was
never
I
watched
talking
that
about
show.
before that?
Okay, this thing's got the life expectancy of a. I couldn't think of something that wasn't awful. So this is precisely where we were previously, and we're taking just as long to do it. So the fact that we've done it before hasn't helped us at all. So enjoy wasting your time for the next few episodes, folks, while we do exactly the same thing we did before. But this time we'll
This time
talk
we're
about
gonna be
nurses.
Talking about.
We weren't talking about nurses last time, I don't think. As long as we're on the subject.
So what was I talking about before? Now
I
I'm
don't
lost.
know. I was talking about scrubs for some reason.
Dang it! I completely am not. I'm not recalling what I was on about. Oh, so yeah, the whole movie thing.
Oh, yeah! I have no clue how that transition
Well,
got made.
mermaids, scrubs, nurses. It makes sense.
See, mermaids are low on my list.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you, but that's because of the whole. What's that song? That's not. Okay. You're taking it to a
You
weird
said it.
level. I didn't say anything.
Well, the question is there? I mean, there's biological questions involved.
No, I do.
Yes,
I'm
there are
saying
certainly
I
biological
do
questions
think
involved.
That the song though is hilarious. That one,
Is it? Are you thinking the same song as I am?
Yes.
I don't know who it's by.
the Scottish like
Oh, so-
drinking song. That's like a.
Is it a Scottish? Because I've heard it by the Great Big Sea is the band.
Oh,
But I don't know if they wrote it or if they just sang it.
but it's that like the.
Basically,
I don't give a
I met a-
darn about the other part because that's how I get my tail. That-
Okay,
yeah,
so yes, we are thinking of the same song.
Yeah,
But see, I wouldn't do that either.
that's probably true.
Like biological possibility, sure, there's a bonus there, but the desire goes way down.
I just
Okay,
like
is this me this time?
Yes,
You used to be
it's
the one
been
that
you
sucked.
each time, so now you suck.
It wasn't me each time, it's me all of these times.
Yes, that's what I was meaning.
Well, get it right.
Okay.
I'm not even moving it, that's what's annoying. Well, it's a strange... It's one of those things where it definitely fits within the side of psychological horror thing, but I'm not sure that I was like... I don't know. Horror is a difficult thing to do, apparently. For me, at least.
Well,
Because what most people
it
think of as
begs the
horror
question-
films are more like slasher movies.
yes,
And I'm
which
like,
I
those aren't
don't think
horrifying,
are
they're
horror.
just intense. And I've
I
never
actually,
found...
I actually find them to be obnoxious.
Yeah, I'm often. Okay. Because the thing about, but then the other that makes it difficult is like, okay, here's an actual horror film. I can't deny that, like, it's definitely in the psychological horror camp. I'm barely touching this every time, so it's just gotten worse. I need to replace this dumb thing. They've taken me shotgun! That was rude. That's very annoying. I like that. Can I have it back?
Like to take that.
No, not that. The shotgun. Now I got a shotgun and an assault rifle.
I must fly.
Like a butterfly.
Oh, that's where we're supposed to be going. Now I feel really stupid.
Yes, I just can't get to the freaking plane. Okay. Let me... I'm gonna smack some sense into this thing.
Apparently not.
Oh, hey. Well, no!
Are you?
I was gonna tag along in your teleport butt.
Well, that didn't work. And
Hey, I
now
got my
we're
shotgun back.
significantly further back than we were.
Well, no, this is just where we were. We haven't gotten past this point before. Let's just mad dash.
Well, I was about to dash.
I'm almost
madly.
certain that won't work,
Certainly
but...
what I was about to do was just to dash madly.
Oh, I almost made it.
I am making it, so you're just sucky.
You're about to get blown right out of the sky, I think.
And I'm gonna drive away, hopefully.
Oh, don't die.
Don't die, don't die.
Well,
okay.
what if I just give it a good old swirl? It's stupid that this thing... I'm literally not even moving it. So now you're going to have to give your opinion. You asked me.
To the Scrubs situation or
Oh,
the movie?
I mean, unless...
I thought the movie was wildly confusing, certainly.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's why I struggled with it, is psychological horror
Okay.
sometimes feels like all it can be is
what I wanted.
obtuse and strange and surreal.
Well, surreal.
And those
is a
are
good
elements
word
of
for
it, but there needs to be something.
Again, I said cohesion to the point that I go, suspense is really what I'm looking for.
Yeah, but that's thrillers give suspense. Horror's not about suspense.
I guess thriller, but I mean, because it's a thriller. No.
I feel like thrillers are what most people mean by horror movies.
Do
is
they
they're
though?
they're thrillers.
Because most people, when they say horror, they actually mean like gore and violence.
Yeah, that's a thriller though. Thrillers
No,
are
it's
full
not.
of those things.
Slasher movies are not the same as
No,
thriller.
They're
Thriller
not the
is like-
same. It's a sort of triangle, or it's a
don't
kind of
think- I don't
square
think you're right.
rectangle
I think
question.
that it's a-
Slashers are in the thriller genre, certainly.
I felt like they were more in like the horror.
Well, that's what people say, but most people are wrong.
Well, no, I would say
I'm gonna
thriller
go
is-
out on a limb and say this is society being wrong. Because here's the thing: what
think at some
emotion do
point-
slasher movies evoke? They don't evoke horror. Why else would you watch them in groups of people and often laugh at them? Whoa, okay. Okay, so while I was holding them off, you apparently made your way. I didn't realize you had gotten into the plane already. Okay, now let's see if this time we can understand what the heck we're supposed to be doing. We gotta destroy this thing.
Well, now that we actually have these on, that's what we need to shut down. The center core
Yeah.
is a set. We need to interrupt pulse generator's energy stream.
Do we
I've adjusted
just-
your shield system so that it will deliver. Oh, we're supposed to use the shield.
We're just supposed to walk into it? Okay, so now we know that hearing the game is a very useful thing. Last time we were just shooting at random glowing things, hoping it would destroy something that needed to be destroyed.
Flurry, bluey, moving things.
Oh, well, I'm dead.
So am I doing it right
You gotta
now?
stay alive. I think it's already been done. You gotta kill the enemies, otherwise I'll never come back.
Oh, I'm not, okay.
Shake those hips for me, Shakira.
Oh, okay. I have no bullets. Careful, Ryan. Most of the equipment in this room does not react well to
Hey, I
bullets.
lost my shotgun again.
Well, you have weapons, though, so please do your duty. Anyway, yes, I felt like Did I come away from the movie going, I hate this movie? No. I certainly was very confused, and I don't know that I would ever intentionally want to see it again. It was a very odd film.
That still sounds a little negative.
It was...
I don't have a negative impression of it, I just wasn't gripped by it. Because the surreality is interesting, and it's like, oh, it's clever that it ends in a way that makes
Well,
you
I
go,
guess
we
let's
don't know
work it-
what actually
here's-
happened.
Okay, here's the question.
'Cause you don't know
Let's
whose
work it
perspective is
backwards and
reliable.
Let's work it backwards and see what you think. Because the fact that he ended up
Spoilers alert, both of them end up dead.
Yes, the fact that he ended up basically all but fulfilling the prophecy that what's his name said about, like, oh, you're gonna lie on the beach and have the crows pluck your.
I don't
skin
remember any
until you're
prophecy
nothing but,
about this.
Well, he was basically calling that curse down on him or whatever from Poseidon. Remember?
I didn't. That was apparently missed by me on my first watch.
And so.
Because I don't take a mystical view of it. I think.
Well, that's I was gonna say, because at the end, that's what happens. Like, he's literally sitting on and I'm like, how on earth did that happen? He literally fell down the stairs, and now all of a sudden he's outside, completely butt naked, and
I remember him being butt naked. Did I repress that part of it?
Probably, and his eyes and his, like, skin is being picked apart by seagulls.
I don't know if we're supposed to. How long are we supposed to get the shimmy shake?
Well, we get out of it and then it stops, so I don't exactly know what.
Yeah, but are we supposed to?
I mean, is this all we're supposed to do? Is just stand in here until it starts?
Get a nice
actually-
buttock massage?
No, that's not what's on massaging. I'm just. That's terrible.
Yeah, I'm sure. Get some overalls on the mechanical equipment so you can.
So that I felt like that was weird, and then I go, did he actually see the tentacle? Like, did the guy actually turn into some sort of weird fish octopus?
But see, that's the thing is, it's
Or was
clear
that a hallucination?
I'm willing to bet almost all the film was a hallucination. The question is, you don't know. At first, they do a good job of making it uncertain, because there's not a fixed perspective. It's not like one guy is the main character and the other isn't. We see the film from both of their perspectives.
Do we?
Not equally. Robert Pattinson's the main character, but we also see plenty of scenes that are from Willem Dafoe's perspective. And the question is, and neither of them is more reliable than the other. So you start off thinking Willem Dafoe's is this old kooky old man, and the new guy is, but then he starts going whack, and Willem Dafoe starts calling him out. So it's like, okay, there isn't enough information for us to determine either of them as being correct.
Credible. I agree.
Which means the whole film is about the whole purpose is you can't know. We just know that both of them died because they went nuts. One of them may have been nuts and killed the other. They may both have been nuts. Who knows?
But that's what I'm getting at. Is
I
that
don't have a problem with ambiguity in that sense, because that's.
I kind of do if it's.
It's more just that I didn't find any emotional reason to care. It's weird and surreal and
it
kind of.
was incredibly slow on a.
Well, see, you have more of an issue with that.
On a technical level, I
don't know what we're supposed to be doing. We're disrupting something. We're disrupting some kind of. Get out of here! This is you.
It is me. I was trying
get
to.
Back. But we're disrupting something with the EMP, and I guess. See, last time I shot the thing, and that seemed to have done something. Oh, well, that did something then. But I don't remember this weird vibrating thing happening last time. What did Cortana tell us to do? Supposed to interrupt the stream.
Return the stream.
And do something. See, Courage the Cowardly Dog was better horror than most things ever have been.
But see, that's macabre. That is very
No, it's also
Lovecraftian.
kind of surreal.
But that's the point. It's Lovecraftian.
But
that's
Lovecraft and surreality aren't necessarily the same thing.
No, I'm not saying they're the same thing, but
What
he
do we
certainly
do?
he certainly was one of the foremost minds of it. You can't deny
I don't
that.
know that
He
surreality was his claim to fame.
I don't agree.
I mean,
because
because I wouldn't call Lovecraft stories that surreal. They're mystical, but that's not the same. I mean, surreal is such a hard word to describe. There's still fairly consistent logic in Lovecraft stories, even to the things that are incomprehensible otherworld. If anything, his whole point was It's not that the world doesn't make sense, but that there is a sense to the world that we can't comprehend.
Right.
It's almost as if the world is really an alien playground we're just happen to be in.
Sure.
So he implies an order to the universe that is inaccessible to us, but is true.
I shared with you that one short.
So it's not surreality, and that surreality makes it so that there's no order to anything. Whereas the horror of Lovecraft is the recognition that humanity is a puny speck.
You're defining surreality in a weird way.
Well, because how would you define it? Because most of the time,
no,
it's super real. I think is how it is the etymology of it. It's above reality. It's kind of a because fantasy would be surreal at that point if it's just anything that's not real. It's something. It's a defiance of all
logic,
internal consistency.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, surreality in art is people like Picasso and Salvador Dali and
true.
Probably not Picasso. I'm sure some art critics,
that's a fairly
art
good
historians are going to get mad at me.
comparison.
But like Salvador Dali is a classic surrealist artist. Where it's just things that are impossible and weird. And and you might say, well, that's Lovecraft. But his whole point was not that they were impossible and weird. He was positing that the universe contained and was made up of things far more complex than we could ever hope to understand. I mean, that's why generally what he is credited for is called cosmic horror. That is the genre. And I don't think that's the same as surreality, because essentially his argument was it isn't that the universe doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense to the creatures that inhabit it, and we are not the main ones. We are simply a sort of afterthought of the universe. And that's where the horror comes from, is people discovering that there's these, beings beyond our comprehension that for whom the universe actually exists. And we are just sort of, something secondary. Second pulse generator. Okay, so we did do it. So once the screen shakes, we're done. Thanks for telling us, Cortana. Hey, they gave me a ship for no reason. So I don't know that I would call it Lovecraftian in that sense. It's more surreal than Lovecraftian. Because Lovecraft implies that the things he describes happened. That's the main thing. Lovecraft never ends with the kind of, we don't know what happened. It's usually...
That's true.
He does end. He does in a sense of mankind doesn't know what happened because this guy went nuts and went off. But it's implied that what that guy experienced did happen to him.
Well, like I told you about the short story that I read of his that was what is it called?
You referenced it earlier.
No.
Unless you're referring to a different one.
Not Dagon. It was a different one.
Then I don't know.
The man that... what was that one
I am out of ammo.
It was like that one where it was like the man in the mountain or whatever that ended up...
Not in the Mouth of Madness. That's not a short story.
No, not that one.
Well, I don't know anything about a man in the mountain.
It's like he goes in...
the something in the mist or something?
It's like he hears this sound in these caves and then ends up... he ends up killing this thing because it's making some, sort of weird groanings and things, and he ends up out of basically self-preservation at one point, he, out of instinct, just ends up killing the thing. Well, then as he gets closer and he's trying to kind of investigate whether the thing is actually dead, he come to find out it was another person who was also trapped in the cave, and this particular individual clearly had been trapped there for years. And it was like,
not the one I was thinking.
And it's like now he feels bad because he killed this guy that was basically in the same boat as him. That is macabre in a cool way. It's like, okay.
Yeah, but I'd say macabre is right, and I wouldn't call that surreal.
No, I agree with you. It's not surreal. But that is a different kind of horror, if you will, because it was set up in the very similar kind of suspenseful vibe.
Well, it all comes down to, you have to analyze, in my opinion, this is why I will say society is wrong, because at least in this case I have an argument, which is it should be classified by what the emotion you're seeking when you go into it. People seek slasher movies because they're suspenseful and kind of thrilling. That's why I think they should be called thrillers. It's about suspense, chasing, danger, and then by the end of it, there's the catharsis of like it's over, and that's, you take a breath. Horror, in my opinion, is a longer lasting, unsettlable thing. Horror never goes away, whereas a thrill will eventually subside. So a slasher movie, whether it ends with the characters dying or succeeding,
But has that
is
ever
still
been,
a thriller.
Has that ever been historically true cinematically? Like maybe generationally it has actually morphed over years.
I don't know enough. I'm not enough of a film historian to know what the trends of history are. All I'm saying is based on my...
I feel like it must have been, because you look at like early on, you had stuff like Frankenstein, you know, those kinds of vibes. Those definitely give you horror vibes, where it's like...
Not necessarily.
It
I mean, Frankenstein
does.
the book is at least credited as being one of the first works of sort of gothic horror.
Right.
But I think but Frankenstein's a unique case, because Frankenstein isn't about, oh, monsters coming to kill us. If anything, Frankenstein is actually...
in like
it's about the horror of the human...
condition.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean. The horror
Mankind
the
is the
human
enemy.
condition can do.
I mean, that's...
But that's horror.
Yes, but that's not what the Lighthouse was.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Historically,
Well, no, I
it's
mean,
possible
okay,
that
no,
your definition
I'm wrong.
is-
That's not what I mean, though. It is what the Lighthouse is, but it's not what thrillers are. It's not what slasher
I don't feel
movies
like that's
are.
what the Lighthouse is.
Lighthouse is not. A Lighthouse is a horror movie. I'm granting that, but it is. But thrillers, what most people think of when they think about horror movies is they're thinking Friday the 13th, or
Right.
Jason, or is that Friday the 13th, or is
Yes.
that Halloween?
No, that's
I think Mike Myers is
Halloween
Halloween. Mike Myers is Halloween, isn't he?
Yeah.
And Jason's Friday the 13th? I don't know But see, I wouldn't call these horror movies truly. They are called horror movies, and again, I think society's wrong. Because you watch them for suspense and action and jump scares, essentially.
Any of the action.
Whereas you watch a horror thing because it lingers and it sticks with you in a way that's unsettling more than it is scary. I actually think a good horror thing shouldn't be overtly scary. Because horror is a underlying emotion. It's not a surface emotion. At least in my opinion.
So you're saying it's more subtle.
I think it has to be. Because most movies...
There's about to be butt zappery.
I mean, I'm of the opinion that if a movie has... And this is too broad a rule. But if a movie has a monster that is like the enemy, the antagonist of the film is some kind of monster, whether it be an actual monster or a... Okay, I'm going to die probably. Or a creature, or just a person that's trying to kill you. That makes it a thriller movie by default, because horror movies have to be more subtle than that. If the only threat is fear of death, that's thrill. That's adrenaline.
That's true.
Whereas the threat of a horror movie is whether you survive or not, you've lost.
Well, but see, that's what I was meaning.
This is why
I wonder whether...
And I mean, even in the Lovecraft
historically
stories
that
where
has
the
been
characters
morphed.
don't die, they are irrevocably worse off for what's happening
Yeah,
to them.
exactly. That's what my argument potentially is, that it's possible that has devolved over...
Get out of my way.
Devolved over centuries of cinema.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily devolved as much as I'd say it's probably diverged. Because I think thrillers were around back then, too. Psycho's a thriller more than it is a horror.
Yeah, but Psycho's not that old a movie.
It was in the 60s. I mean, it's only about...
Was it the 60s that came out?
Yeah, Psycho's... Yeah, Hitchcock's old.
Yeah.
So, The Lighthouse definitely is a horror movie, but I don't know that it gave me what I wanted. And I guess the trouble I have is I still don't know what I want from horror.
Going into it.
Well, the problem is I've never found a film that gave it to me, so I'm not sure I know yet.
Ooh, that's...
Because what I want from a horror movie is the same experience I get from a Lovecraft book. Which is a kind of... something that sticks with you in a... I mean, perhaps this is the reason it's so difficult, is because it's hard to quantify, so I don't know whether or not something succeeds at it. Other than that, it's a more sort of gut level. I can't intellectualize it fully. Well, but it's something that sticks in your mind and alters your perceptions going forward. That's a very vague description, but that's the best I can give.
That's a strong description.
How did we get
because
back on the ground?
How would it alter your... I mean, like, I don't think it inherently
Well-
has to alter your perspectives for the future. I think it can stick with you and that it's unresolved, sure.
No, because I haven't spared a thought for The Lighthouse since I watched it, so which means
Well,
its
but that
unresolution
But
hasn't
that doesn't. But
affected
then that
me.
means it hasn't affected you that much.
Yeah, but that's what it was trying to do.
Well, yeah,
So
but
I would
you're
say that it
making-
failed in that respect. I can respect what it was trying to be.
I don't know that it was.
I think
attempting
cinematically
that.
it was done. Well, then what was it trying to be?
Exactly. That's kind of what my rub with it was. I couldn't quite figure out or pin down what I was supposed to come away with at the end of the film. Because that's why I was meaning let's start from the back, because you have to have the idea of, okay, what were they trying to communicate? And one of the things that they do is they do the whole, okay, he dies in a manner that you would go, was that fulfilling what the old guy said
I
about
literally
the...
never. That was completely lost on me. So I don't think that was. If that's what that was supposed to be, I don't think that worked either.
Yeah, I don't know.
Get in, get in, get in. I don't know where we're going, but it's not here. So we somehow were up here, and then we ended up on the ground. I don't know how that was achieved, but it was. Cortana needs to give us hints as to where to go. Have we destroyed both of the things?
I think we've destroyed all of them. I'm just confused about why it's...
Well, the map is telling us to go nowhere, actually. The map isn't telling us anything. I don't think we destroyed the thing on the second up here, because we haven't had a second screen rumbling incident. No?
Well, then go rumble some screens.
Rumble some stiltskins.
Anyway,
I don't know.
So that
I have yet to find a movie that could quantify exactly what I want, so I don't have any comparison. It's difficult because...
what? Okay, so on a feeling level, because obviously you can't...
Well, because horror, here's what I would describe. Horror... Or no, here's the difference, actually. And it's not the best difference, I admit, because, again, it leaves a lot open. But the way I've heard it, that I think is a good starting point, is a thrill is the recognition of being in danger. You're suddenly confronted with something that means you harm, and the adrenaline is to escape that thing. And sometimes the characters succeed, sometimes they fail. But I don't think that it does. It's not
You're
like
calling that thriller.
I think that's what it
I
should be
would
called,
agree.
because the emotion it invokes is not. It is adrenaline, which I guess is the best.
Well,
I mean, that's
would
what a thrill
disagree
is.
that's actually what it's cinematically defined as
Well,
like
sure.
right
I mean,
at
again,
this moment.
I've been saying this whole time. I think society's wrong on this.
No. I'm saying right now. I think that's accurate.
I don't, because I think too many people call thrillers horror movies. But what I would describe as horror is the recognition that not that you're suddenly in danger, but that you have always been in danger, whether you knew it or not. And that's
so
a difficult
like Bird
description.
Box.
I haven't watched that, so I don't know. Possibly. Because here's the thing. In fact, this is going to be so specific that I don't know if it's even useful as a comparison. But here's a picture. I'm going to have to describe it. I saw an image that evoked in me what I would describe as a prototypical horror reaction. And it's totally unrelated to anything you might
found
expect.
this picture.
Yeah, it's not at all whatever you're thinking probably is wrong. I saw, so someone had posted, I don't remember where, but it was a picture of them saying, I've got this weird sunburn on my back. I have no clue what has caused this. And so a picture of them, their back is all red with a giant outline of what was clearly some giant insect that was sitting on them while they were tanning outside and apparently asleep. And that evoked in me, and I admit I'm not a fan of insects. Wouldn't go so far as to call it a phobia, but it's like maybe some people who aren't freaked out by insects as much as me wouldn't have found this horrifying. But that was the thing where I went, that means whatever it was is irrelevant because it's gone.
Yeah.
You're not in danger. You maybe never have been in danger because we don't know what this thing was. But the fact that it was on you and you didn't know leaves me with a sense of like, I would hate that. That would freak me the crap out. So it doesn't matter that it's not happening now. The fact of the matter is it's already happened and you'd missed it, and it could have been something dangerous and you wouldn't have known. And that's a lingering sense of like, that leaves you on edge. That isn't fear of danger. It's fear of, I guess you could go back to in the Lovecraftian sense, it's fear of the unknown. Fear of, who knows what it was and whether, but there's something about that kind of a... It doesn't matter whether the threat is present. What matters is the fact that it exists or at all.
Yeah.
In some ways, that's what Lovecraft is all about. It isn't that Cthulhu means you harm.
Right.
It's that Cthulhu exists when all of your perceptions of the universe would have said that wasn't possible. Which means everything you think you know is wrong. Which is, I suppose, another way of describing horror is...
So
the realization that
to you is horror.
Well, that's probably the best term for it. That might still not be perfect, but that's probably close enough. But it's not just. I mean, it's the recognition of.
That's a really interesting like, I don't know that.
Well, because
cognitive dissonance makes me feel horrified.
Well, not necessarily, because it's not always that. Because again, I don't think it's perfect, but it is close in that it's a recognition that you're
world or
out of your depth
isn't what. Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Whatever's causing that, which of course can be anything. But it's like when you suddenly realize that the world is not what you thought it was, whether that makes it threatening or not. It's because I mean, the other term I'd be tempted to use is something like revulsion, which is a little bit too. There's a disgust element to that where it's like sometimes something, it doesn't have to be horrifying to be revolting. Sometimes it can just be gross.
Yeah.
But revulsion, I mean, in the oldest sense of the word, which is literally something that you revile, something that you instinctively cringe from, that you want to be away from. Like that, it instills that is regardless of whether this thing means me harm, I don't want to be anywhere near it.
I imagine that us just wandering in that room isn't going to really be useful. But
I don't know, because the thing is, we haven't seen anything like the first weird magic teepee.
Why I'm confused.
So she's
Is it
telling...
up higher? Oh.
Well, I thought about that. I thought maybe it was that thing up
Maybe we
there,
have to
because
jump
it's
into that.
sparking, but I've been trying to jump into it, and I can't get it.
We have to get into here. How do I get
Well,
up
yeah,
there?
I think you're supposed to... I mean, I think you could get on top of these little catwalk things and jump into it, but I haven't been able to make that work.
Oh. I almost did.
And also, this is a different shaped thing. The other thing was kind of a teepee of magic blue.
Caribbean blue.
Well, there you go.
That's what, yeah.
But even still, getting onto it has been the challenge.
Oh,
well, I pressed the jump too late. I'm also not even sure that this is it. But anyway. So the lighthouse, I think... I mean, it's unsettling in that it's weird. But I also find that on a personal level, anytime the answer is hallucinations or someone's insane, that in some ways cheapens it. Because the thing about Lovecraft
it does, 100%.
is that
it's
it was
an
all
easy
real.
Cop-out.
And no one believes it because
this
the way
was my
they
rub.
sustain their own...
Correct. This was my rub when I watched the show Lost. And when
doesn't everyone complain about how
yes,
it ended?
Because basically it ended with all of this being built
everything.
up, and then it was like, yeah, none of it's real. And it was like, okay, I just wasted 6 seasons
in
of
some
my
ways
life.
that's what this film does, is
Right.
that it's like, okay, well, clearly what happened is one or both of these men went mad and attacked each other, and they both ended up dead. There isn't really any indication that anything supernatural
See, I got a
happened.
bit more of a supernatural underpinning.
Well,
or
with your weird
undertone
curse
to it.
thing, that didn't stick with me because sailors
are often like have a bit of what is it called? The
grandiose.
No, I was talking like their lore is a bit superstitious.
Sure, I don't think this jump is possible. And even if it was, I don't think it... Because we didn't have to get into the thing last time for it to shake. Anytime we were near it, it was shaking. I do have to feel like, given that they've made... I mean, maybe this is this a game design thing where it's like this sparking thing that's... This seems to be attracting attention to this spot. But I remember we tried this last time and like, explosives don't do anything. And we can't get up there, it seems. So we were in this exact position last time, and I don't remember how we solved it. Hang on, there's enemies.
Where at?
On the radar. That's the class. Oh, hello guys! They've just been hearing explosives in the other room and didn't think to check. Well,
I swear.
that's the old video game rule: is whenever there's enemies, go towards them.
Go into the light.
So, I don't know. Oh wow, I just got disemboweled. I can't criticize it much because I think, other than I won't call it that like, oh well, if it ends with something not being real, that makes it not true horror, because I don't think that's fair. I think that's just a subjective thing. It's definitely not a thriller, which means the only thing it can be left is a horror. And psychological horror, I think, is fair because it's literally about people going mad. So there's psychology and horror, so what else can you want? I just think it may not have been one that spoke to me personally. The thing that I don't... This was not a great movie, but as time has gone on, it's proven to be the only one that even gets close to what I would want, was Annihilation.
I don't recall. Was that the one that had the weird...
I showed you the weird dubstep alien.
Yeah.
And the reason... I mean... It was not the best movie because it had a little bit too much action in it. It almost blurred the lines between action and thriller. But the fact that it is quite literally the closest... I mean, I don't think there's any other Hollywood film that could be described as cosmic horror, but that is literally what that was. Is some kind of thing we can't understand fell from space and caused a whole bunch of weird temporal shenanigans on Earth, screwed with physics, and then just disappeared. And then, well, we actually don't know disappeared. The movie ends in such a way that you're not sure whether or not it's gone. But it was some kind of cosmic entity that caused destabilization in the environment around it and made several people go mad and die. So it's like it was probably the closest to Lovecraft any film I've ever seen has gotten. But it was just not as well made a movie, I guess. Whereas I would almost say the opposite was true. The Lighthouse was a really well-made movie. It just didn't...
Fell short on the
It
action.
didn't actually... It was a well-made version of something I don't necessarily prefer, whereas the Annihilation was a not as well-made movie of something I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't come away hating it. Again, I just felt a little bit like, okay, well, it was... I never expected to come away from it going, I feel great now, but it just was odd. Like, it left me kind of going, I don't specifically feel horrified, I just am thoroughly confused.
Yeah, and I think there's a hard line, because... I mean, surreality or difficult... Things that are difficult to comprehend is sort of one of the building blocks of horror, because if you can understand it, it wouldn't be that horrifying.
Yeah.
But it can't be the only string to the bow. Like, just something that is incomprehensible isn't inherently going to be scary. So there's got to be more to it than that.